You're listening to REIA Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out REIARadio.com.
Your networking should compound over time. Your network itself should get bigger and bigger, and also your people in your network should become more successful because they're within your network, because you're connecting them in a way that's making everyone more profitable. And then the best networks become these ecosystems where a lot of people know each other within that, and you can collect people and then connect them together, and everybody makes money together.
This episode is brought to you by Entrepreneur Addict.
If you feel like marketing changes every 5 minutes, you're not wrong. You're right. And that's why we built Entrepreneur Addict. We take the chaos out and give you one simple roadmap to follow. Video that converts, local search results that rank, and content that actually connects with people. And all of this brings real results. Get started now. Get the clarity instead of the overwhelm by going to entrepreneuraddict.com/REIA now.
First off, good evening and welcome to the Omaha REIA. Welcome back to another killer night. Tonight's speaker isn't just someone we brought in. She's someone who's been in this since the beginning. I think you've been a member, for 4 years? Maybe longer of the Omaha REIA? Megan, aka the Tatty Investor, is a longtime Omaha REIA member, connecting behind the scenes. The reason we've actually had Brandon Turner on the podcast, not once, but twice. And that's all because of Megan. She's made countless high-level connections that led to guests, speakers, and relationships that help build this community. She's our official backup co-host for the REIA Radio. And while she's spoken on a handful of panels over the years, tonight is her first time having the stage solo. Now let's talk about Megan's resume. Megan and her husband, Jeff, right next to her, they started their investing journey in a travel trailer. Since then, they built a portfolio of almost 100 properties over the years. They've launched their home staging company that does about 80 stages a year and operates Acorn Properties, which includes flips, rentals, and sober living homes. She also spent a year living in Maui with her family after a personal invite from Brandon Turner himself to join the inner circle, before deciding that she was going to really come back to Nebraska because he missed the chaos around here, I'm sure. Today, she runs First Deal, Brandon Turner's new company, while still staying boots on the ground here in the Midwest. She's been featured on some of the highest level and ranked podcasts in real estate in the world. And she built her entire business through relationships, no spam, no scripts, no grinding out cold calls, real people, real connections, and real results. Tonight, she's breaking down exactly how strategic networking became the secret weapon behind her success and how you can use it to find deals, build partnerships, and grow something that actually lasts. So whether you're brand new, scaling, or looking for what's next, you're in the right place. Please give me a massive Omaha REIA welcome to Omaha REIA's very own Megan Ahern.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Megan Ahern. Ted just stole my entire presentation, so we can all go home. That was it. That was the whole thing. Yeah, I'm Megan Ahern. I'm the Tatty Investor. If you follow me on Instagram. So we got started in 2016. We started by buying this house on the left. It was a long distance flip in Albuquerque. Never been to Albuquerque, didn't know anyone in Albuquerque. Lost 20 grand on it, but we kept going. We also at the same time bought a live-in flip that we ended up making about $80,000 on. But it was really just those two deals. And quite honestly, after losing 20 grand on your first flip, you have to kind of like re-ask yourself, is this what I want to be doing? Can you actually make money in this? But we had enough people around us with our local REIA that I said, well, if Jason can do it, anybody could do it, right? So we kept going. From there in 2018, Jeff got medically separated from the Marine Corps. He was in a parachute accident and got into a really bad back injury. And so we had to reassess, like, what did we want to do when we grow up? And we decided to go for broke on real estate. So we sold everything we owned in Southern California. We sold our house and we moved into this ratchet travel trailer. And we parked it behind our projects for the first year in Lincoln so we could actually prove to ourselves that real estate worked. Because up until that point, we didn't really have a successful track record. but we had a little bit of VA disability income and a dream. And so we decided to bet on ourselves, back ourselves into a corner and make it work. So since then, we've bought over 100 properties, mostly single families and duplexes. We own a triplex and a quadplex and our sevenplex from hell, if you follow me. But mostly single families and duplexes is our bread and butter. Like Ted said, I also own a staging company. We stage 80 to 100 houses a year in Lincoln, and we're both realtors. And Ted seriously stole my thunder, man. So we moved to Maui. Bro, I know. I'm just going through it. We moved to Maui for about a year to just be able to rest. We were working like 100-hour work weeks, really grinding, building our business. And Brandon Turner of the Bigger Pockets said, hey, you and Jeff should just move to Maui. And so we did. That sounded like a great idea. But we were also able to test our systems and get to a point where we could work maybe 10 to 15 hours a week and still be able to grow our business. That year in Maui was to date the best year that we had because we had to really focus on the things that were important, which was relationships, talking on the phone, finding money, and then finding deals. But we were able to remove ourselves from the day-to-day of our business. So, like I alluded to, we became really good friends with Brandon Turner. We lived about a block away. We hung out with him, his wife, his kids. Our kids all became best friends and homeschooled in Brandon's basement. It was super fun. But through that was also, Brandon has brought me on now at this point to run his first deal program, which we teach new and aspiring real estate investors how to get their first deal. And all of this was made possible through strategic networking. So that's just a little bit about me, but I want to know, like, who are you guys, right? Who am I talking to? How many of you guys want to buy real estate but have never bought a deal? Would you be so bold? Okay, there's some of you. What about, have you bought like 1 to 5 deals? Okay, you're in your new, fresh, it's exciting phase, your honeymoon phase. Awesome. What about 5 to 20? Who's in that phase? Cool. How about 20 to 100? Anyone over 100 deals? Yeah, all my veterans, cool. So the thing is when you talk to a room like this, where you have such a dynamic group of people, right? You have some new people, you have some super experienced people. You either have to choose to talk over the heads of the new people and talk to the experienced people, or you have to talk to the new people and you bore the experienced people to death. So what I want to do in this is at least give you one nugget, no matter where you're at on that spectrum, to take one nugget and be able to put it into action in your business. So we'll see if I can do it. Strategic networking. I'm going to be talking about this today. But what is strategic networking? Okay, strategic networking isn't just about meeting people, collecting business cards. It's about intentionally building relationships that directly support your business goals. So I'm going to define this in real estate as the intentional process of building and nurturing mutually beneficial relationships with people who can directly or indirectly help you achieve your investment or business objectives. Unlike casual networking, it's purposeful, targeted, and aligned with your long-term strategy. So who cares and why should you guys care about this? So for us personally, we've purchased 63 units only off of networking. We've raised millions of dollars in private capital. We've gotten 100% financing deals from both private money lenders and hard money lenders and also local banks through networking. I network highly with small local banks and they'll finance 100% purchase and rehab for us, which is something they don't do for everyone. And we've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars on our taxes because of this networking. And we have gotten hundreds of realtor clients and staging clients. We built our realtor and staging business almost completely on networking. We do almost no paid ads on those two businesses, still highly successful. And then we've also got business partners through, we co-own a title company and co-own Brandon Turner's first deal program. So we get those business opportunities and business partners through networking. And overall, we've just made millions of dollars through strategic networking. So this is important for you guys, no matter if you're starting out or if you're ramping up or wherever you're at in the process. So you got to define why you're networking, right? Do you want off-market deals? Like who in this room right now came because they want to find off-market deals? Yeah? Look around. It's amazing. All you guys need deals. Who in here has something under contract that they would wholesale or that they think is a big fat turd of their portfolio and they would sell off? Yeah? Okay. You guys should talk to each other after when we're done here. Who's looking for private money lenders? I'm always looking for private lenders. Who in here lends private money? Okay. We know who to talk to afterwards, right? These guys. Maybe you need a stronger contractor pipeline. Does anybody use contractors in this business? I do all day, every day. Anybody in here contractors or vendors? Or maybe you're like me and you're just positioning yourself as the go-to expert in your industry. Either way, defining that helps you focus on who it is that you want to meet, right? Instead of just collecting those random business cards that you end up just throwing in the truck center console and then never looking at again. So if you're looking for deal sources, you're probably going to network with these type of people, right? Wholesalers, bird dogs, probate attorneys. We get a lot of deals from probate attorneys that reach out directly to us, divorce attorneys, that kind of thing. Realtors, even though, sometimes we're trying to get those wholesale deals, realtors will bring us deals that like their client doesn't want to list it. And so they'll bring it directly to us. Property management companies, especially the crappy ones, their owners get real tired of them pretty often. And then they bring us deals. And then lenders and even lenders that have foreclosed on other borrowers. And then they just want to sell them directly to us. So if you're looking for capital, you're looking for money, right, to fund your deal, you're going to be looking for private lenders, hard money lenders, and local bank officers. And honestly, like bankers get a bad rap for being kind of, like scary, stuffy, whatever. They are just humans too. And they like eating lunch. And I like taking them out to lunch and having a good time with them and really getting to know them on a personal level because it just helps broaden that reach, right? You also have your execution partners. So that might be your contractors, your stagers, your inspectors, your appraisers. I want to know every appraiser in Lincoln, Nebraska. I want to know who's going to give me the bad appraisal, who's not. If I want to do a midterm, I'm going to be able to pick who is going to value that higher because it's higher income coming in on that property and who's not going to look at it as creatively. And then influencers and experts. So that could be other investors locally, right? It could be nationally. It might be somebody that you want to have mentor you or coaches or podcast hosts to be able to get on Ted and Owen's podcast or my podcast, I guess. We'll claim it. Social media voices too. Those are key relationships, but also community and professional connections are absolutely huge. So title companies, I call them like connectors, right? They know everyone who's operating in town. They know which buyers are buying. They know which sellers are selling. They know which lenders are doing what loans. They see every single document from those loan docs that they're closing at their title company, and they know which lenders are being creative and which ones are requiring big down payments, right? So I like networking with title companies so that they can connect me with other relevant people. And then CPAs, insurance agents, kind of the same thing. But city officials, like how important is it for you to be really close with the building and safety guys? Like if they know you by first name and they like you, when they come out and do an inspection for your building permit, they're going to treat you way differently than if they've caught you 7 times with no permits and you be a jerk to them every time. Those people are just all humans. And if they like you and know that you're one of the good guys, you're doing good work in their town, they're going to respect you so much more. And in Lincoln, Nebraska, I think it was maybe 2020, 2021, they didn't have any Airbnb laws there. And they were about to start regulating the Airbnbs. And so they had like a town hall, probably this many people in a room, and half of them were like angry neighbors and half of them were angry Airbnb hosts. And they were like, we have to regulate this somehow. How are we going to do it? And they had all these ideas. And then after that town hall, in the background, they invited a few of us Airbnb hosts. One of us was me, and Josh Nix was another one, if you know him. But we were able to influence how those regulations actually played out because we had that network and we had that brand to say, hey, we're some of the good guys and we get that you have to regulate this, but let's do it in a way that's responsible and doesn't just kill all of our businesses. And it was able to be like a really good compromise, I think, in that Airbnb space. So you don't know the seeds that you're planting when you're planting those with the cities, with the officials, but it does help along your journey. So this is not just like, what can I get? What can I get from you? But also like, what can I give you? So one thing that you can do when you're meeting people is sharing those referrals, offering insights or introductions to other people that they might need, and then being known as reliable and trustworthy. So over time, this creates this flywheel of reciprocity. There's a law of reciprocity in humans. Humans do this, that if I give you something, your brain automatically feels like it needs to pay you back for that thing. And so if you know that that's how the world works, that's how humans work, you can just be giving and giving and giving and giving and know that the world will return that back to you, or like karma or whatever. But it becomes this flywheel of reciprocity where you're sending out opportunities, you're connecting people, and they're making money, and it will come back to you. And it'll come back to you in weird ways. So like I went through all of these key relationship categories, but the fact of the matter is, like, if you're looking for deals, but you're networking with these execution partners, like we have gotten deals from inspectors, we've gotten deals from contractors, we've gotten money from contractors, like our plumber decided to lend us private money. And so you might be networking for one thing, but you're also going to be getting other options from other people, right? The main part of this is that you have to be consistent. To be successful with anything, you have to be consistent in it. That might be going to these local meetups. Obviously, you guys are all here, so you've decided this is important in your life. But it might be that, might be going to super high level national meetups, right? Conferences, those kind of things. And then taking all of these contacts on lunch dates for like your vendor contacts or different investors. And then staying visible on social media. For me, this is a really big thing because you have a couple ways of following up consistently with people. One would maybe be sending out like an email newsletter. Hey, this is what we're doing. I get some of those from some of my contacts. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Sarah's doing blah, 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 whatever. I'm just not that kind of a person. I don't write well. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of dumb. I don't know. But the words are not like really come fluently for me on paper. So I would hate doing that. But I can grab my phone and I can say, hey, 7plex from hell update. And I can post it to Instagram. And that's giving my 8,000 followers that constant feedback and update on what Megan is doing. And so they can say, oh, I know her. I like her. I trust her. And so it makes it easier to stay in contact with those people in your circle that you're networking with. I also like to use a CRM. So you have to be able to track who are these people that you're meeting so that you can remember them later. And I like to categorize them by their role. Are they a lender? Are they a wholesaler or deal flow? Maybe that might be an investor or lender. I'm sorry, an investor or a wholesaler or landlord, right? I would categorize all those people together as kind of deal flow. Also with agents, I would categorize them with that as well. And then I want to note, like, how did they help me or how could I help them? Both of those things. So that might be another agent. Like if I can send them referrals, if they're an agent that's in a different market than here, right? And then you want to, like I said, be checking in with them often, especially if they're deal flow type people. Like if they are an investor or they're a wholesaler, those deals are going to come to the squeaky wheel. They're going to come to the ones that you talk to often. So that's like one of Jeff's weekly tasks practically, is to reach out to all the wholesalers and investors in our area to say, hey, what do you got under contract right now? Hey, what are you selling? Hey, we're looking for flips, and have that kind of intentional regular check-ins. So your networking should compound over time. Your network itself should get bigger and bigger. And also your people in your network should become more successful because they're within your network, because you're connecting them in a way that's making everyone more profitable. And then the best networks become these ecosystems where a lot of people know each other within that, and you can collect people and then connect them together, and everybody makes money together. So like Ted had alluded to, I have gotten pretty close with some big name folks. Over here on the left, I don't know if you recognize the bald guy. That's David Green. He was the host of the Bigger Pockets podcast for a long time. The guy in the middle is Jay Papasan. He wrote The One Thing. Super good guy. And his wife, Wendy, like the queen of Keller Williams. And the guy on the right, obviously, Ryan Pineda with the pink hair, and Brandon Turner. So how do you get from... Over on the left, I had pretty much just met Brandon, was a bit starstruck there. And how do you get from that to going on the private jet to moving to Maui? How do you actually create that relationship instead of just like a very surface level interaction? Another one that we got to hang out with quite a bit was, or Jeff did, was Robert Kiyosaki. And if you guys haven't met him, he's kind of a weird dude, but he's a whole vibe. But Jeff got to do security for him at an event, so got to hang out with him for like 3 days, and they became besties because Jeff's kind of a weird guy too, so they like each other a lot. But anyways, I think this was the most eye-opening thing for Jeff because he hadn't been real up close and personal with these guys like Robert Kiyosaki, like Brandon Turner, up to this point. But he was like, these people are such weirdos. And I'm like, you mean Robert? And he's like, no, like everyone else that comes up to him, they're just so weird. Like they do weird stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's just a thing. So brings me to my next point. Don't be a weirdo, okay? And it should go without saying, but it needs to be said because for these people, if you're trying to get close to them, if you're trying to actually create a relationship with them, I think it's one of the most important things is to not be a weirdo. So what does that mean? Places like Jeff had to literally clear the room before Robert Kiyosaki went in and keep people out because people will corner him at the urinal and be talking to him. That's weird. Don't be a weirdo, you know? Stay out of the bathroom. They come, they line up, they want to talk to him, either Robert or Brandon, and they're like, oh, you're so amazing. I love you. I've read all your books. You're so great. You changed my life. And then what happens is they start into this very detailed monologue about some very specific, intricate detail of their life. And you see like the people kind of glaze over. They're like, how much am I needing to actually retain this information? And then they ask, so what should I do? And it is the hardest question to answer. Even if you're brilliant at what you do, like these people are, it's a really dumb question and it makes really dumb answers. And so they're like, I don't know, if you don't know what you should do in your life, why would I know what you should do in your life? So this is Brandon in that exact situation. On the left, he's leaning in, right? See his body language? He's leaning in, he's listening, he's being attentive. Then he leans back and he goes like this. Oh, because he knows what's coming. It's going to be the, what should I do? And on the right, he's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. And at one point, the guy's like, well, I could, and he's like, sure, yeah, whatever, do that. It doesn't matter. Like, why would it matter to Brandon? And it's a hard question to answer, and it's awkward for people. So you have to ask better questions. To do that, you want to lead with curiosity. Instead of like, can I mentor me? Or what should I do about this intricate detail of my life? I've really admired how you did blank, right? I really admired how you raised $1 billion to buy real estate. How did you approach that? That is a question that could fire up Brandon Turner, right? He would love to tell you about that. It's easy to answer for him. People love talking about their own journey, and a thoughtful question feels flattering and not awkward. Do you know who this guy is? I just got my bangs done like him, so I could be like Aerosmith. This is Steven Tyler. I know. I did it on purpose. It's fine. So he was flying back on the private jet charter that Brandon had signed up for, and apparently Steven Tyler did as well, because Steven Tyler lives on Maui. And so they're coming back from the mainland, and Ryan Murdoch, Brandon's business partner, and Brandon are on this flight, and Ryan's a super fan of Steven Tyler, right? He's like, oh my gosh, I got to go talk to him. I want to talk to him, right? All the things, like if you saw Brandon Turner, you'd be like, oh yeah. Ryan Murdoch's geeking out over Steven Tyler, and he's like, I got to talk to him. Brandon's like, bro, just leave him alone. So Ryan goes up to him. He's like, I got to do it. And he goes up to him and he says, hey, Mr. Tyler. And Steven Tyler was like, man, like, Mom, I'm on a private jet, right? Like, I felt like I could at least be not bothered in this moment. And he goes like, what? And he's like, hey, my friend Brandon is a famous professional speaker. We're just getting back from a conference, actually. But every time he speaks, he loses his voice. And I know that with you singing concerts every night, you must do something to not have that happen? Like, what do you do that allows you to not lose your voice? And Steven Tyler lights up. He is so excited about this question. He's been waiting to answer it his whole life, right? And so he tells them all about, he's like, oh, sit down, man. Yeah, I do these vocal exercises and I sing it like do, re, mi, fa, so, whatever. And he's like showing them how to do it. He's singing to them. They end up sitting there on the flight 4 hours later, just chatting it up the entire time with Steven Tyler. Steven Tyler's singing. They're driving. They're all besties now. And at the end of it, Steven Tyler's like, hey, what do you guys do? Like, oh, you're in real estate? Oh, that's awesome. You should come check out my house at some point on Maui. You know where I live? And Brandon's like, everybody knows where you live, dude. You're Steven Tyler. But he gets the invite to come hang out, right? So that's kind of a approach allows you to just be a normal human and allows that person to talk about what they love to talk about. So if you're not talking to Steven Tyler, you're talking to normal people, you got to kind of give before you ask. That's kind of the natural way of doing it. With peers, that might be sharing a useful resource. It might be sending them a referral. It might be commenting like meaningfully on their work. With semi-famous people, it might be sharing their content or recommending their book or podcast, or sending a thoughtful message. Like, hey, your episode on whatever topic really helped me think differently. This is what I did with it. I shared it with my team, whatever. But because you give, you stand out more than 90% of people because most people will just take. Like recently we met a new investor, aspiring investor, and he came over to our house. He was like bugging us. Like, please, we'll just do coffee. We'll do this, whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to get a babysitter to have to hang out with you. So just come on over to my house. We hang out with him. And he's like, please, will you mentor me? I'll work your leads. I'll do all this stuff. But like, it puts burden on the person that you're asking to mentor if you do that. And then a couple weeks later, he calls and he asks to borrow $10,000. And we're like, bro, we don't even know you that well. Like, that's not our business. Like, what are you even talking about? And he wants to buy this house and he's going to sell his other house. And we're like, on the MLS? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. But you're not using us as an agent, but you want to be able to borrow $10,000 from us and like ask so much of us. It's just weird. So give before you ask, right? For me, with David Green here, I had met him at BPCon actually in San Diego and sat across the dinner table with him, chit chat, had a great conversation, exchanged information. And then a couple months later, I saw him speak at a Limitless conference, and he was the keynote. He talked about quantitative easing, and it was a brilliant keynote. And so I went back and I filmed like a little reel and posted on my Instagram about what is quantitative easing. I give him all this credit. Oh, this is a brilliant keynote, blah, 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 and posted it and then tagged him in it. So he had sent me this text and said, hey, Megan, it's David. I just wanted to say that the video you made about my keynote was super good and I'm proud of you. And I was like, David, who? Because you got to keep these guys, being able to fit through the door. You can't get too big of a head. And he sent me this stupid selfie. I was like, yeah, I know. I'm just kidding. I just couldn't help it. So, but from there, like he knows who I am now, right? He's put that in my mind of, hey, I'm going to share his stuff. I'm going to talk well about him and he gets to kind of follow along with my journey. So the thing is that you need to ask better questions. You have to make them feel interesting, appreciated, and not drained, and just be a normal human and have fun with it. So you also need to ask better questions when you're getting to know these people. Bad networking questions are like, what's your best advice? Can you mentor me? What should I do about this certain situation in my life? Better ones are specific, thoughtful, but they're easy to answer for the other people. Example of this might be, what's one mistake that you see new investors making that's easy to avoid? Another one might be, what's one thing you're excited about in your business this year? People love to talk about their business. They love to talk about their goals, right? So this is one of those things that's very easy to answer for them, but you can get to know them on a deeper level. Or if you're starting today, how would you build momentum? Or I've noticed that you've done a lot with whatever, flips, burrs, syndications. What's been the biggest learning curve for you? These spark good conversations without making them your unpaid coach. So what did I learn from all of these big old guys that I network with? This guy here, Indar Lang, he taught me when I went to the first Maui Mastermind about cost segregation and bonus depreciation. Does anyone know what that is in this room? Cool, handful of you guys. So at this point, I was flipping houses, probably about 15 houses a year, and I was trying to write off as much as possible so that we wouldn't have to pay big taxes on our capital gains. But Indar, he's the biggest flipper in Hawaii. He flips probably about 20 or 30 multi-million dollar houses, like $3 million houses. He's making 6 figures on each flip. So he was like, oh, I don't pay any taxes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So he told me I can do cost segregation and bonus depreciation on my rental properties to offset all of my flipping income. So ever since then, I started doing that and I haven't paid any income tax since that point. It's an absolute game changer. If you don't know what it is, you can ask me after, but it's fantastic. So Jay Scott, he wrote the book on flipping houses. If you're new to flipping, if you're new to any real estate, like if you're going to be burring or doing any kind of construction, the book on flipping houses is like the bomb. I absolutely love it. Love Jay. He's super brilliant. But he really taught me that I need to hire sooner. Like a lot of times we as people, as entrepreneurs, we wait to hire until we're ready or until we have enough cash to hire or whatever. We're like waiting for some certain moment that we feel like we're going to be ready to hire. And you don't ever really get ready. You have to hire before you're ready to do that in order to scale up and scale out of your business. Sarah Weaver, anybody know her? She's a local, right? She taught me about midterm rentals, and we just started kind of pivoting to that within the last couple years. I reached out to Sarah and was like, hey, how much are you getting for your midterms in Omaha? She sent me the listing and I was like, daggum, that can't be right. And so I'm like asking her questions. She's like, have you read my book? I'm like, oh, I'm being a weirdo. Sorry. Yeah, I'll just buy your book. And instead of having to ask you all the questions as you already put in your book. But that was huge for us. Taro here on the right, he was flipping like 100 houses a year in Seattle. Absolutely brilliant flipper. But his biggest thing is that you need to be very, very detailed on your scope of work for your flips and completely plan out the entire thing and get bids for all of the work before doing any demo or doing anything on the project. And I think if you do that, especially as a new person, you will save yourself a lot of headache because I see new people all the time getting halfway into a project and running out of money because they didn't do all the planning on the front end. But it's so easy to say, hey, I don't want to have this holding cost of 3 weeks of holding costs to plan out my flip in the beginning. But if you take that 3 weeks and you get every single bid and you know exactly your material costs and you know, okay, it actually will fit in this $30,000 budget, then you can just run that project really easily. If you're just flying by the seat of your pants, you do demo and then you realize you've demoed too much. And then the only way to go forward is to put it all back, but you don't have the money. That's when new flippers a lot of times get into trouble. And then obviously Brandon Turner, I've learned an absolute ton from him, but I wanted to put this picture in here because this is the first time that me, Brandon, and was on the REIA Radio podcast. And I had met Brandon and had like paid for a mastermind or two, but wasn't very close friends with him when I asked him to come on the REIA Radio podcast. But I had asked him, hey, could I ask a favor of you? And he said, yes, anything. And I was like, damn. I was going to ask if he would come on the REIA Radio podcast, but he said anything. Yes, I'll give you anything. Say the word and I'll give it to you. I could have asked for whatever I wanted, guys. Anything. I could have asked for the moon. He's got 14,000 units. I could have come up with something better to ask. And I said, fine. Will you come on my friend's podcast? And he's like, your friends? It's not even your podcast? I said, no, it's not my podcast. It's a stupid ask. I said, no, it's just this guy. It's like Todd and Owen and Omaha. But they're nice. They're really great. It's a really cool podcast. It has like 3 viewers. They're all in Omaha. It's totally fine. No. But I said it would really mean the world to them. And from that moment, he realized that he wanted to be my friend because I would ask when I could have asked for anything. I asked for an ask from my friends to be able to connect them and push their podcast forward other than for asking for myself. I was able to be on the podcast with them, a super fun podcast episode, but that changed the trajectory of our relationship. And it changed the trajectory of Ted and me and Owen's relationship because I then, get to co-host sometimes. Brandon has also taught me recently in this last year or so, he's been teaching millions of people this for a long time, the stack method. Has anyone heard of the stack method? Okay. It's essentially that the first year you get into real estate, you buy a duplex. The next year you buy a quadplex. And then the next year you buy an 8-unit building. Then the next year you buy a 16-unit and then a 32. And then pretty soon, within 5, 6, 7, 10 years, you're buying these massive buildings. And it sounds so good when it's written in a book. It just doesn't really actually work like that a lot of times. But what is better than the stack method is when you're trying to scale up, to know what your asset class is and know like what your criteria is. So for us, that's flipping houses. It is way easier for me to say, okay, this year 1, I flipped 1 house. Next year, I'm going to flip 2 houses. Next year, I'm going to flip 4, 8, 16, 32, 100 houses, right? That is way easier than moving up into asset classes. I learned that kind of the painful way with my 7-plex from hell. And it's really easy for people that are kind of like, okay, we know how to flip. We can kind of do this on autopilot to look around and go like, oh, well, they're doing small multifamily. So maybe I should try small multis too. Like maybe that's the progression in the stack, but stay in your lane. Like honestly, you'll have much more success and like peace of mind if you stay in your lane, know what your asset class is, and just scale up the quantity that you're buying within that same asset class. And then last, but certainly not least, Clint Bartlett. I'm sure you guys all know him. He's not famous, but he's here locally. And he really stood out to me because I think about 3 years ago, he spoke in Omaha and he said, I'm going to tell you guys something. And if you do it, it will hurt my business. It will be direct competition with my business. But I'm going to tell you anyways, because I know that none of you guys will do it. And I'm like, oh, watch me, right? Because I'm just that kind of a person. So I did it, and it changed our business drastically. So I'm going to tell you what it is right now, and you guys aren't going to do it, so it's fine. It will hurt my business probably, although you guys are Omaha people, it'll more hurt Clint's business, but it's fine. He told us all about pay-per-lead marketing, and what it is essentially companies will run pay-per-click ads, Google pay-per-click ads, and they are essentially running ads for the sellers that come to the internet and say, how do I sell my house fast? How do I sell my house with a tenant in it? How do I sell a hoarder house that I inherited? And they're running pay-per-click for all of those keywords. And then they're selling you the lead. So they pay per click. You pay per lead. You get that lead directly to your phone. It is some of the hottest seller leads possible. Because think about it. If you're going out to doing direct mail or you're doing cold calling, you're doing text blasting, you're reaching out to those people. You may or may not be getting the right timing on that. And so they may or may not be motivated. A lot of them are tire kickers, but these people, they're coming to you. And so they are stinking hot leads. We've gotten so many flips from this. We've gotten so many listings from this. So if that QR code, if you wanted to scan it, it just talks about like which pay-per-lead sites are the best sites, the ones that we use. But if you wanted to do that, it would literally change your business if you're flipping houses. And that's it. That's all I got. So the top one, I'm the Tatty Investor. If you want to follow me on Instagram, that would be amazing. The second one is for First Deal. If you're new or aspiring real estate investor, you want to learn more about First Deal, I'm not going to pitch it, but you can scan it there and kind of check it out. And that's it.
We have a microphone set up in the middle. So If you guys have questions for Megan, please come up to the microphone and ask them. Ooh, they're lining up already, Megan.
He's got his Bible. I can't answer those kind of questions for you. I put the podium aside.
Hello.
Hi.
It's the fifth gospel, but all right. So first question, what's one thing you're excited to do this year?
Ooh, I am super excited for the First Deal program. So for so long, I have been just owning my own businesses. So this is a whole new leaf that I've kind of moved into where I got a job working for First Deal, but I also run that entire program for Brandon and I own equity shares in that. So that's something to me that is super fun to actually be able to like grow a much larger business and really be able to create massive revenue potential in that.
Nice. Got a second one.
Yep.
So when you were saying you paid zero taxes, when I'm blanking on that. I think it was Indar, but the zero taxes he's doing flips in Hawaii. Now, isn't the caveat? Correct me if I'm wrong. Excuse my ignorance. But isn't the caveat with that like you pay zero taxes, but then if you want to get a loan from a bank, it's like you made no money. What are you doing, you weirdo?
Yeah.
So
that is the beautiful part about doing the cost segregation and bonus depreciation. So previously we were trying to write off all of our income. And so that was the problem is banks go, well, but you don't have any income. And we're like, but we are making a ton of money. We're just like taking business trips and we're doing and I bought a truck and I depreciated it, right? All these things. But with cost segregation and bonus depreciation, so cost seg is, let's say I buy a rental house. Let's say it's $250,000. If you take that asset, you are going to depreciate it for your taxes. Most of the time, it's depreciated over 27 and a half years, which is normal depreciation. If you're doing a cost segregation, you're going to split out the costs of things that could like go bad per the IRS earlier. So because of bonus depreciation, we're essentially taking about $50,000 of depreciation year one. And then the rest of that we're taking over the next 27 years. But what that allows us to do then is go, okay, if I'm going to make $500,000 flipping houses, then I need to buy 10 rental units to offset that gain. And the lenders will then add that depreciation back in because they know it's not a true loss. It's just a paper loss. It's like magical, right? It didn't cost us anything for that. So they're going to add the depreciation back in and lenders will say, oh, look at, you made $500,000. You're very bankable, but we don't have to pay the taxes on it.
awesome. I'm curious. So famous and semi. What are the parameters for that?
There's no parameters. I don't know. If you're walking down the street every time and you get like oh, are you Brandon Turner? I would call you famous, I think. I don't know.
And I wanted to know I believe I heard in the number one podcast, Omaha REIA Radio, where it said that you did an Oxford House program. Can you get I don't know, maybe we could talk later, but if you want to answer, was the story kind of behind how that kind of fruition? I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, if you want to share.
Yeah. So we've been sober for many, many moons at this point, but we had a employee who was just got out of rehab and he was living in a hotel. We were driving him back and forth from our job site to the hotel. And he was like, hey, I got this new place and can you drop me off at this new address? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so we took him there. He told me the address and I was like, we flipped that house and they turned it into a sober living house. So tell me about that, right? And so again, networking, he told me all about it on the tenant side. And then when we had a big house come vacant, we had him connect us with the people running that programming, which is the Oxford House program. And we were able to turn that big house into an Oxford house, a sober living house. And from there, we've bought, I think, 4 others in the meantime.
Oh, we can clap for that, I guess, if you guys want. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Phenomenal presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Obviously, you have mitigated some risks and some high pressure stakes. So that's amazing. But what are some things that you do throughout your week that you know I'm locked in? I'm good to show up. I'm ready to network and be at my best. What are some key things that you do outside? Like ice baths, for example, or are you really like a workaholic? Like work out?
I hate
what discipline?
It's not that, I can promise you. Definitely working out. I think it keeps me sane, but it also energizes me for the work that I have to do, for sure. And then, I think a lot of times after we get success, it's really easy to be like, oh, you have to have the perfect morning routine, and we go to the gym and we do this, and like you have to carve out this time. And the fact of the matter is, like, when you are getting started and when you're growing in your business, you got to freaking work. Like, that's what you need to do. Like, it's not about ice baths and like working out and like work-life balance. Like, you freaking just get to work and like do whatever it takes. And then as you get successful, you're like, oh, it's the ice baths. No, it's not. Stop it. There's 100-hour work weeks for the last 5 years, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, thank you. This is my first REIA event, by the way, so this is amazing. Just have to
Welcome.
say, amazing. So when you're asking who is new in a property investment, how many properties do you have? I'm a baby. I was taking a lot of notes over there. I looked around. Not a lot of people were taking notes, so I can tell there's a lot of seniors in the room that have been doing amazing in this field. So love to be in this room. But for me, I am starting with my property investment. It turned into a multi-use property. And I've been speaking to a lot of amazing people, but I don't have a CRM for this. You mentioned systems important. I'm a creative. I'm an executor. Systems is where I lack. What is your CRM? Or what do you recommend?
Yeah, we do everything through Podio. So we run all of our businesses through Podio. I've built out the back end of First Deal on Podio. We run our flips, our staging. I have all my like contractor CRM through there, lender CRM. The problem with Podio, I love it because I'm a Podio nerd. The problem with Podio is just a blank page. And so you could make it whatever you want, and you have to have the creativity to be able to do that and go like, how is my business going to function? Actually draw it on a paper first, most of the time, and then put it into Podio. But I want to know like, how does the system work? How does the function work? And then build it within Podio. If not, you have to go kind of pre-built, but I like that I can totally customize it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My understanding was cost segregation is expensive to have evaluated, that you need to have multifamily, so many units. How do you do it for a single family affordably?
Yeah. I use Money Smarts. They do my taxes as well. I think they charge me about $400 for a cost seg. I think that they're probably the cheapest in town, and they've probably raised their prices for everyone other than me at this point. But I still think it's under $1,000. And so if you can write off, depreciate $50,000, like you're in a 30% tax bracket, it still makes a lot of sense, I think, to pay the $1,000.
Okay. And they're local Money Smarts?
They're in Lincoln, but
Okay.
yeah, local enough
Okay.
for you guys. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome. They also, certain cost seg companies will like send someone out for their multifamily. And so they're going through and evaluating it. They're having an engineer look at that. And so it becomes a very costly thing. And the way they do the smaller properties is they give you like a worksheet, essentially. You go walk your own properties. So towards the end of the year, when we're doing our tenant checks, we're like, okay, which properties need to be cost segged? And then we'll just take all the measurements, count curtains, count cabinets, count appliances, all of those counts, and just put them on the paper. And so then they're just punching it in. That's how they lower their cost. They don't even have to come out. Yep.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
First of all, I've read all your books. I love you. You're amazing. You and Jeff have changed my life. I love the new curtains.
Super
It's beautiful.
awkward. Thanks.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was going to ask you is, you're very, like my son would say, nonchalant. So I feel like that's a really superpower when you're going to meet people, right? Like everyone comes up to someone of status with like excitement. I mean, you can see when they're coming up to you like, oh God,
Yeah.
this is coming. So what kind of mindset can you help us get into when, like, so I'm an extrovert. I just want to talk forever.
Yeah.
And my wife is the opposite. She's very shy. Like she almost needs a door to open first. So what kind of mindset can you get into, especially if you're going to meet someone, like Kiyosaki or anyone like that? Just what's like that middle mindset to get into before you go to meet someone, or you're waiting in line to meet them or something?
Yeah. You have to really think about like, it's such a hard thing because you have to, on one hand, be a totally normal human. On the other hand, you have to be kind of memorable, right? And so that's the challenging balance. For me, I am not a nondescript white male. So in a setting like that, I stand out a bit, right? I have tattoos, a bit colorful, super sarcastic, way too short. So I have like some distinguishing features. And then a lot of it is just being super normal and asking good questions, I think. When I talked with David Greens, who we're talking across the table, which is helpful, right? Like body positioning is very helpful. When I walk into the room, I will, especially if it's in a smaller setting, like a long table or something, dinner, I will take the middle seats. And I think that a lot of times females won't take the middle seat. they'll ask for permission. And so they'll sit on the ends, but I will always take the best seats, which will be the middles. But I'd sit directly across from David because I wanted to be able to like have a very intentional conversation with him. And we got really deep really fast. Like we talked about like his childhood trauma and like all kinds of super weird things like that. But I was just asking questions, asking good questions. And it's not about a script. It's not about asking like a certain like zinger question. It's about like, I want to get to know you as a normal human. I'm going to listen well and really be like intentional in that conversation. I don't know if that's helpful. That's not a good answer. That was a it depends answer. I hate those people. I just did that. He does. He calls me an asshole. Asks so many questions it becomes rude, but it's really a good way to break the ice, I think.
When you're going to a room like this and you want to make some connections, maybe it's a room that you've never been to. Maybe you're at the REIA for the very first time. How do you decide who to connect with? And what advice would you give somebody that is new in here tonight?
Man. I think if you meet anybody, I think it's just getting like the practice in, right? Like when we first started going to seller appointments, I would tell Jeff, I'm getting practice getting said no to. And networking is a bit that way. You exercise that muscle, you get really good at it. If you don't, you don't. So I would say to meet like everyone at your table, that's an easy lift. And then anyone that is kind of like you, I think is probably an easier way to connect with them. I think a lot of times like women come up to me to network with me more because they feel a little bit more comfortable that I am a woman. But yeah, I don't know if that answered that.
And do you give them a business card or do you try to connect some other way?
I don't do business cards. I have an app on my phone, actually. It's like a little QR code and I just tap it and then I open it so they can scan it. But it has all of like my websites, my social media, everything on there. And then they can add my contact card. It has my picture, all that.
And then what's the follow-up process you'd recommend? What you made a good connection, you got their contact information, and you really want to connect with them again. You'd obviously, if you're trying to get hooked up with Owen, you're not going to say, I want to pick your brain because he'll be turned off and go, I mean, I'm being real because he hates that.
Yeah.
So, and everybody's got their thing. So what approach do you take now? It's the next day. Do you wait? Is there a certain time period? Is it like dating? Because I haven't dated in a while, so you got to tell me what it's like.
Yeah, you can't come on too strong, like right at the beginning. Like, will you marry me? Will you be my mentor? I think that when you come into a room, especially like this, like of this size, or even when you go to like big conferences, you meet so many people. It's like drinking water from a fire hose. So a couple things, you could take a picture with that person if they're exchanging phone numbers. Someone did this with me at whatever the last
tagged you on
was.
Instagram at the REI
No,
Summit?
they just texted me a picture of both of us. So I could go like, oh yeah, that guy.
I always like to get their Instagram information and post that picture and tag them. And it helps have that direct connection.
Yeah, that's smart. Good too. But also like it was when he texted it to me, then later when he texted me, hey, I'm Syed. I'm like, Syed who? What are we even talking about? But because he had already texted me a picture of us standing there at the summit, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Baseline guy, got it. So that was kind of a good one. Otherwise, I like to just reach out and either text them or email them. I really like texting though. It's just a lot more personal. You can kind of like get in there, slip into their DMs. It could be a little bit weird. The emails get deleted, but text them and then just be like, hey, it was great meeting you. And then I like to be able to share something with them. So like we just met a guy today for lunch, totally random person. And I said to Jeff, as soon as we got home, hey, did you text him that book recommendation that we were talking about at lunch? It's like, even if it's just a small thing, but it's like, hey, yeah, you were interested in that book we were talking about, here it is. Or, whatever it might be, like just some little follow-up from the conversation so that they have that, like to remind them.
I hate to say it's because there's probably a few people in this room who got it, but I usually get so many business cards at the end of one of these meetings. I'll have like a stack of like 7 or 8 of them in my pocket. I'll just take a picture of everything, send it to my virtual assistant. And I'm like, hey, send you a thank you meet. And if you need to connect again, but he does it on my behalf. But it's real blanket because a lot of times you just get those cards, you just don't remember. So.
Yeah. And like, I'm the worst about just getting people's business card and just throwing it in the center console of the truck and then never looking at it again.
They're all going in the newsletter. So if you get your business card, it's just going to go right in the newsletter.
But like a lot of times people's business cards are so nondescript too, right? It's their business. They're like, oh, it's Pyramid Properties, Joe. And I'm like, I don't have a clue who this person was 5 minutes later. So that's why you got to put it into the CRM. You got to follow up with them. And that's why I don't personally like sharing business cards. I would much rather share my contact card because then it has my Instagram, has my face, a little bit more memorable.
Or you can put a really fun picture on your business card. There you go.
So do you like reverse psychology? Like, please throw me in the trash. Then they don't. No, okay. So my question was, you did a whole talk on networking, which is awesome. What made you choose this talk? I'm sure there's like some inspiration behind it, or what made you got into this whole? Because is it just like you saw some Gen Z, or did the Gen Z stare at you at Target? And you're like, that's enough. I'm putting my stake down against this. Or like, where's the inspiration from? Just
as you're hanging out with a lot of these guys, you realize that, like, I guess I didn't realize personally that people are so awkward and such weirdos. Like, everybody's a weirdo when they meet them. So I was like, this is kind of relevant to everybody. Even if you're very experienced, you don't want to be a weirdo when you meet these guys. So
last thing, did you listen? I guess no one reads a book. Listen to any books or anything that kind of helps with your people skills, or you just kind of went out there and mastered the craft, basically?
There's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People
by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, I read that really early on. I think that was monumental. But a lot of it's just practicing, just doing it.
I think chapter 2 said smile. So that's great stuff. Cool, thanks.
You're welcome. Cool.
Man, that was a good Q&A session. Give a round up for Megan Ahern, the Tatty Investor.
Holy crap, there's a huge spider on the floor. It's fine.
Big. That's why I keep him around. Like, I don't need no man till I need to open the jelly jar or kill a spider. It's fine. Cool, I'm like sweating from the spider. Whew. All right.